Hello everyone and welcome back to my opinion. Now, before I continue with this video, I'd like to extend my advance apology for my previous video because the storms are still going on in the UK, and I think this one's called Storm Franklin and the other one was called Storm Eugene. So you may hear some increased background noise you may hear some increased background noise because it is quite windy outside. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. But I'm getting to this game, India winning this game by 17 runs and clinching the series 3-0. Now, for my previous video, I talked about the fact that a then potential 3-0 scoreline would be something that I didn't really want because, especially for a touring team, even if you get one win or tour, you'll be able to have the benefit of taking the positives out of a win. And if you look at the West Indies across this tour, they haven't really been able to do that. And I think that there have been some positives for the West Indies. I think in the ODI series, Alzari Joseph this is the best I've seen him bowl. And in the T20I series, Roston Chase bowling outstanding figures all through the series, and Nicholas Puran's stunning form in the T20 format. And I think that, honestly, personally, I would have given the man of the series award to Nicholas Puran because of the impact that he's had in all three games. I understand why they've given the award to Surya Kumar Yadav because I think that especially in the first and third game, he's been an outstanding innings today. I think that he's reinstated, just confirmed what I've been saying about him for quite some time now, or in the last few videos at least, is where, especially from number 4 and onwards, and you could even say generally in the middle order, I think he's the best middle order player in the world right now in white ball cricket. And I think that it's just the way that he's able to go at such a good rate without virtually taking any risks. And I'll get to this innings when I talk about kind of his partnership with Venkatesh Iyer further down the line. But yeah, I really think that I understand why they've given him the man of the match, man of the series award, considering that he was on kind of the series victors. But I really think personally for me, because of he was really the backbone of his side's batting performances, Nicholas Puran was. So I personally would have given the award to him, but it is what it is. Now, as far as the starting 11s for both these teams, there were a few changes in each team. Virat Kohli and Ishan Kishan not only missing this game, but the T20I series against Sri Lanka, which starts in a few days' time. And in their place, Ruturaj Gaikwad and Shreyas Iyer came into the side. And for the bowlers, Shardul Thakur and Avesh Khan, who I'm happy that he's got his debut, was brought into the side, and only one spinner was playing today, with Chahal sitting out. So that was the Indian team. And for the West Indies, not as many changes. Shai Hope back into the team in place of Brandon King, Fabian Allen back into the team, and Dominic Drakes. And I think that's pretty much all the changes there were for the West Indies in this game. And I'm not sure if Hayden Walsh played in this game, the previous game, but he was in the team for this game. And Karan Parad won the toss and chose to bowl first. And the Indian openers, Ruturaj Gaikwad and Ishan Kishan, walked out to bat. The partnership didn't really last for too long, 10 runs, 2.3 overs. And they both got a boundary each, with Ishan Kishan getting the first one and Gaikwad scoring a lovely covered drive. And Gaikwad was the first to be dismissed off an outswinger from Jason Holder. The ball kind of carried quite far to a squarer third man fielder, and he was dismissed for 4 of 8 balls. Now, regarding him, we all know he's a brilliant player, but I'm saying as far as the T20 World Cup's concerned, of course he can make the squad, but I'm saying that it will be quite hard for him to probably make the 11, and I don't really think he's in contention for that as of now, basically, because look, Rohit Sharma, KL Rahul and Virat Kohli are probably the top 3. And you look at players like Ishan Kishan and Venkatesh Iyer, who, even though they prefer to bat up the order, at the top of the order, and take the bowling on, they will have to adapt to roles for Ishan Kishan number 4 and Venkatesh Iyer number 6. And I think that if you look at Ruturaj Gaikwad, you wouldn't really say he'd really be that great in the middle order as of now anyway. I don't think we've seen any indication of him adapting to the middle order. And I think that because of that, unless, you'd say Rohit Sharma's captain, so unless KL Rahul has an absolutely out of sorts IPL and gets a run of 10 innings with single digit scores, and Ruturaj Gaikwad has an unbelievable season, it's going to take extremes of success and extremes of failure for Rutraj Gaikwad to make the 11. So for me, I think because of the astronomical kind of the odds of him making the 11, I personally think that for him, it's just about getting the runs at the international level. It didn't work out for him today, but I'm sure it'll work out for him very soon. And there was a partnership of 50 runs between Ishan Kishan and Shreyas Iyer. Shreyas Iyer especially kind of being the aggressor, a strike rate of 156 in his innings with 25 of 16 balls. And he was holed out to Jason Holder off Hayden Moss Jr. And soon after that, Ishan Kishan got out bowled off Ross and Chase. Now, I'm not really surprised he got out in this way. I think that certainly when the ball swung, when Sheldon Cottrell swung the ball away and Ross and Chase, the delivery came in with the arm, I think that he certainly has struggled when those things have happened. And so, yeah, I wasn't, you could say it's slightly unlucky with a bounce, but I'm generally not too surprised with the way that he got out and the bowler that he got out too. And I think with Ishan Kishan, I think the thing that he would probably have to do differently is what his other teammates do. I think it's certainly him batting in the same lineup as Surya Kumar Yadav in the Mumbai Indians. I really think he'll be able to learn a lot as to why he probably the way that he's able to go at such a good tempo despite virtually not taking a risk. And I think with Ishan Kishan, the problem is that I said after the first T20I, the innings building that the other players have shown around him, I don't think Ishan Kishan has shown that at all in these first three T20Is. I think that, as I said before, it's either right now it seems just get a really good start, kind of slam bang, or otherwise, if the opposition bowl well, and this is international cricket, the opposition will bowl well. And if you look at players like Joss Butler and Johnny Bairstow when he was batting at the top of the order, and he bats at 4 for England now in T20Is. But I'm saying if you look at those players, even if the bowlers bowl well, they won't completely struggle. They'll have some way to even just maintain a decent strike rate and then seize on the opportunity. Whereas I think with Ishan Kishan, I think that there's a lack of that innings building that the other players around him seem to show. And yeah, that's the reason why in all these three T20Is, I think it would have been very unfair to expect the impact that we've seen in quite a small sample size, especially with the 80 that he scored for the Mumbai Indians in the last game of the IPL 2021 season. In their last game. But I'm saying that certainly the bowling was good for the first half of pretty much each innings from the West Indies. I think despite the fact Rohit Sharma got a great start, 40 off 19, they were bowling well to Ishan Kishan. And I think that, in the end, if you look at all these innings, all these 3 games so far, I don't think you could have expected that kind of a start from him. But certainly the other players around him have adapted better. And yeah, I just think that, look, he'll be able to learn from these players, especially Surya Kumar Yadav, who will be batting alongside the Mumbai Indians. And yeah, I think really it will be a good learning experience for him. And let's see what he does. I just think that there is clearly the problem that I said, where it's either really getting a fast start or the bowlers bowl well to him, which they will do in international cricket, and just kind of going at that 100 strike rate. And if he just gets the adaptability into this game, I think we'll be able to see both sides of Ishan Kishan. The one where he takes on the bowling more visibly, the other one where he's more adaptable, he rotates strike, hits a few boundaries, and then when there's an opportunity to do what he does, he can do what he does. So yeah, that's on him. And it's 66 for 3. India were a bit of a partnership between Surya Kumar Yadav and Rohit Sharma, but who's batting at number 4, Rohit Sharma today. And he was bowled by Dominic Drakes for 7 of 15 balls, batting out of position. And 93 for 4 in 13.5 overs. Now, you wouldn't think... Now, from the previous game, we thought the West Indies were in a great position, and India would be attempting, as I said in my previous video, the 170 glory finish. Instead, they got 16 runs more than that. And the West Indies were in a better position now. So you'd think, surely things wouldn't go the way they did. And Venkatesh Iyer being part of 3 match-winning partnerships, and especially in the last 2 games, really just the fact that it's honestly been ridiculous, the last 2 games of partnerships that he's been involved in. I think that the way he's adapted to this number 6 role, I'm actually really pleasantly surprised about, because as I said, you wouldn't really say he's established in his own position. He's not really too experienced at whether in IPL cricket or the international level. And yet the fact that he's adapted to this role, which again he's kind of had to play, I think that really well done from him. And Suryakumar Yadav once again reinstating why I think that right now he's the best middle order batsman in the world, certainly number 4 and onwards. And I think that virtually not taking a risk, and you see 1-4, 7 sixes, that is 65-31. That's kind of power hitter stuff, and yet how many risks did he take? A grand total of 0. So I think that to have those kind of boundary figures, 7 sixes, and I think we've seen this before where without hitting a single six he might have scored 82 or 40 balls in that as in the same game that Ishan Kishan scored I think 80 against SRH, where they scored 235 all in all. So certainly he has shown that he's able to really go at a great rate without taking risks. And I think for both batsmen, their shot manufacturing behind square on both sides of the wicket was just superb. And I think that if you look at the West Indian bowling in this time, certainly the partnership got off to a start because of the shot making that both batsmen showed. It certainly wasn't because of the fact that the outright leg side deliveries that the West Indies bowled in the previous game, but the bowling wasn't good in this one either. The last 6 overs really, I think they went for the last 6.1 overs going for 91 runs, and there was only another wicket at the end of the last ball of the innings, and India were 115 for 4 in 16 overs. And if you look at the West Indies' chase, their worm, with the Manhattan, or not Manhattan, their worm, let's say, was well above the Indian one, and yet the last 4 overs of the Indian innings, 69 runs in 4 overs and only 1 wicket at the final delivery of the innings. Suryakumar Yadav, whether it be behind square and also towards the end, the last few balls, and over long off as well for 6. He was brilliant. Venkatesh Iyer, once again, a really good innings from him. And 184 for 5, and I'm genuinely, as I said, I'm even more stunned. And this was an absolute free-for-all after the 4th wicket fell. And I really think that the amount of overs that went for, let's say, 17, or even the last over 21 runs, there was another over also before that went for 21 runs. Honestly, those overs became commonplace in the last 6. It was ridiculous. And you're looking at the bowling figures of the West Indies. Now, 1 for 29, 1 for 23, 1 for 30, and 1 for 5 and 1 over. Now, you'd think that would sum up, or rather spell a curtailed innings, kind of as far as the score is concerned for the opposition. And yet, from where India were, they've managed to get 184 for 5. So, clearly, the West Indies, once again, a poor outing in the last 6 overs, and really disappointing from them, considering the fact that you could say with the first 14 overs of both innings in these last 2 games, they've been on top, and yet they've squandered their their position of strength. And the West Indies had to. In fact, I'm actually gonna get into detail after I summarize the West Indian batting innings as to what I really think is wrong at the moment. They've had some positives in this tour, but I certainly think the things which they look to improve on have been there not only in this tour, but have kind of started to emerge from quite a while back. So the West Indies batting innings, Kyle Mayers and Shai Hope opened the batting, and I think Deepak Chahar, despite the fact that he got hit for 3 boundaries, I really think that he had answers every time. And straight after Kyle Mayers swatted him down the ground for 4, he bought an absolute jaffa, an outswinger to Kyle Mayers. The feet didn't really move for the batsman, and he got caught behind for 6. And the West Indies lost a wicket in the first over. Shai Hope, in this, I think he only faced his first ball after the completion of 2 overs, but it was a controlled pull past the mid-on fielder for 4. Then flicked the ball through mid-wicket for 4, so he got 2 boundaries off his first 2 balls. And in his 4th ball of his innings, an unplayable delivery from Chahar, which swung away, and he got caught behind. So that was him. And 26 for 2 of the West Indies, and honestly, they got quite a good start in terms of the run rate. And before I continue with them, I think that in the same over, Deepak Chahar, Deep Dasgupta actually said that he said it may have been a hip flexor kind of injury, and I think that it looks that way considering it wasn't really holding his hamstring or anything. And so yeah, I really think that I hope that he gets back to full fitness soon, because certainly it would be important. He'd be important for CSK. I don't think he'll be out for that long, but still. And I honestly think that if you look at the competitors for that third seamer spot, I really think that right now the lineup is looking like Bhuvneshwar Kumar, Deepak Chahar, and Jasprit Bumrah, and that is an outstanding trio of seamers to have in your attack. And so yeah, I really hope that he gets back to full fitness soon. And once again, even though he won 1.5 overs, showed why he honestly, especially in the power play, for me, he's the best power play bowler in white ball cricket in terms of how much he swings the white ball and also how long he swings it for. And yeah, I certainly think there's some stats in previous IPL seasons which also showed the same thing. And yeah, I really think that he's an elite power play bowler, and I'm sure that he'll be a great asset for India at this point in time. If no one else kind of gets ahead of him in the side, a great asset for India right now looks like in the T20 World Cup. So yeah, that's on him. And the next partnership was Sheer Entertainment, Nicholas Puran and Rovman Powell. I think that if honestly, how good this partnership was overall really made the loss for the West Indies even more disappointing, because surely you thought they'd win this game. And after Rovman Powell got out of an excellent bit of bowling by Harshal Patel, kind of going wide, he tried to swat it either down the ground or through mid, kind of look through mid wicket really. Thakur, who went for 18 runs in his first over, which showed the carnage that was there in this partnership. And yet, he caught an excellent catch in kind of the fine leg region. Running back, the ball was kind of swirling in the air, and he caught a smart catch. And so 73 for 3, and from there to 100 for 6, it pretty much spelt why the West Indies really lost this game with the bat. I think that there were a few. If you look at Karen Pollard, Jason Holder, I think when you're trying to chase a score 9 point something and over, and even after they got out, the run rate wasn't really too much for, especially in the West Indian standards. But I'm saying that Pollard at one point is 1 of 5. Venkatesh Iyer, who filled in for Deepak Chahar, I thought he did quite well. Bowled a bouncer, a top edge for 4, and the very next ball actually he's caught at I think extra cover. Deep extra cover by Ravi Bishnoi for 5 of 7. Jason Holder then getting out not too long afterwards, 2 of 6. I really think that the West Indies would have wanted, or rather, yeah, I think Nicholas Puran would have preferred definitely if one of those two had kind of formed a partnership with him to kind of see the West Indies home, or at least do the bulk of the work. But unfortunately for him and the West Indies, Pollard and Jason Holder got out early. And Roston Chase walked into bat, and he was removed by an absolute stunning yorker from Harshal Patel. And I think that, yeah, that pretty much really derailed the innings, that phase of play. Romario Shepherd walked out to bat an entertaining 29. Hit some 3 massive sixes. Probably the pick of the sixes, the one over mid-wicket of Ravi Bishnoi. And at the moment when Jason Holder got out off Shardul Thakur, an admirable comeback from him. 15 runs in his last 3 overs, picking up 2 wickets. And for someone who, honestly, I think it really shows the depth in Indian cricket, as I said, where you look at someone who, would you say he's a front runner in the Indian T20 side? No, you wouldn't. Yet he gets picked up for 10 crores in an IPL auction, and really the face of, especially in the second half of the season, really a huge contributor to the reason why CSK won the tournament in IPL 2021. So certainly, if you look at the kind of quality that Shardul Thakur has, I think that the fact that you wouldn't really say he's a front runner in the Indian T20I plans, it just shows the depth of Indian cricket right now. But yeah, admirable comeback from him. But I think that once again, the way the West Indies lost this game, 23 of 4 needed the previous game, and then 23 of 5 in this game from positions where you'd think that they would win quite easily. Disappointing from them. Harshal Patel, I thought, was excellent. I really think that he's starting to combine I think there wasn't as much due today, so I think that he certainly, the slow ball did work for him more. And he also, with that Yorker being an example of that, he's been getting a few quicker ones in. And still relying on the slow one, but getting a few quicker ones in. I think that as I said before, he used to actually bowl much faster before and then became a slower ball bowler. A bit of the old and a bit of the new. I think will make him an overall quite a versatile bowler, and I think that he'll need that to compete to get into the one of the three seamers in the starting 11 in the T20I side. And also RCB are going to need him to do that because he's probably the standout death bowler in the side. So yeah, that's on him. And I think that as far as and Avesh Khan, look, he didn't have a great day this game on his debut. There would have been some nerves. I think for him, he was a bit short. It was on the shorter side. He also gave some width to Nicholas Puran, so he didn't have a great day today. None for 42 and 4, but I'm sure he will improve. And I'm happy that they've given him the debut in the side once again, adding to the competition to get into those kind of certainly there's Jasprit Bumrah there cemented. So I think for the other two slots, I'd say Bhuvneshwar Kumar should also be there. So that third slot, there'll be some competition for that. But I think that Deepak Chahar is quite a bit of ahead than the other people. But I do think I'm happy that Avesh Khan got his debut today. So yeah, that's on him. Now the West Indies. So as far as their bowling is concerned, I look at their seamers, right? And I know they would have rested a few players in this game, but if you're looking at the three seamers they have for this game, right? Jason Holder, Romario Shepherd, and Dominic Triggs. And I've said before in the IPL auction review videos that I don't consider Jason Holder to be a 4-over bowler in T20 cricket, despite the fact that he does bowl 4 overs. And I think that in that case, Jason Holder, Romario Shepherd, Dominic Triggs. If you're trying to build a 3-seamer attack, so your main 3 seamers, would any of those 3 be your main 4-over bowlers? No, they wouldn't. And then you got Fabian Allen and Roston Chase. Who Roston Chase brought into the side for his batting ability. He's starred with the ball in the series. And Fabian Allen, more of an all-rounder. You wouldn't really put him in that 5th bowler category. So the only frontline bowler today was Hayden Walsh. And I just think that the West Indies team, there's been a case of them prioritising bowlers who can bat rather than pure bowlers. I can think back to the 2019 World Cup when Michael Holding highlighted the point where the West Indies had Australia 44 for 4, I think in the power play, and yet the final score was 288. And I just think that, and he said if Kemar Roach was playing, maybe the score would have been 240. And in that case, the West Indies probably would have won the game. And I think that certainly that's been the case as well. I think you look at players like Romario Shepherd now. If you're looking at these, the players who you could say are all-rounders, but do they offer anything outright with the ball or the bat? And you'd probably say no for a few players. And I think that if you look at the players in this category, out of what I've seen of Romario Shepherd in the series, I'd probably put him into that category. There's a bit of a problem because with whatever they do with the bat, and yes, he scored 29 today, he hit some big sixes, but the problem is that you wouldn't want the skill, like their all-round game, for example, and I think it mostly works for the bowling, what I'm trying to say here. You wouldn't want the thing that they contribute in, so for example, his bowling, he gave 50 runs in 4 overs today, and then he scores 29. And that's what I mean by all-rounders who you wouldn't say specialise outright in either skill set. That's the issue with them, is the fact that their batting doesn't really... You look at Sam Curran for CSK, for example. He gave 50 runs, let's say, for example, he gave 50 runs when he bowls, and then score, 20 odd or 30 when he bats. And it isn't enough, because in the end, you've put your team at a disadvantage. And are your runs kind of a major kind of a help in the team trying to chase the total down? No, they aren't. So I think that is the problem with the kind of bowlers or kind of players that are all-rounders but don't really offer an outright strength in batting or bowling. And I think that if you look at Romario Shepherd, certainly I feel like the thing I said earlier about the fact that prioritizing players who you wouldn't really say that they'd be prioritizing the batting depth as well as kind of or as far as it looks like in this case, prioritizing the batting depth quite a bit. And I think that it is a good thing, but at the same time, you have to prioritize getting genuine bowlers in the team. And you're looking at these 3 players as frontline seamers. You would not say that they would qualify for those front 3 seamers role. And I think that it's not only been in the way that they bowl. I think that it's not only been the case now. I think that it's been, since the 2016 T20 World Cup, where there was Samuel Badri, then there was Dwayne Bravo, Andre Russell. I think since that time onwards, and maybe because even a bit then as well, I think the West Indian bowlers have been looking to the batsmen get themselves out rather than the bowlers get the batsmen out. And I think even if you look at Jason Holder's 4 wickets and 4 balls, he was looking for the batsmen to get themselves out rather than getting the batsmen out. Whether that would be, a lot of the time I've seen the fact that they play with boundary sizes, let's say, the dimensions of the ground, and they bowl slower stuff, bowling it kind of away from the batsman's arc, trying to get them to hit against the breeze, for example. So not really thinking, let's bowl a good delivery. And I think that if you're looking at a side like India, for example, you've got Deepak Chahar, Jasprit Bumrah, Bhuvneshwar Kumar. They all rely on getting the batsman out. And I just think that with that, you have much more of a potent threat as your front 3 seamers. And you cannot call the seamers that the West Indies play today as part of the front 3 seamers, for example, to really rely on. I just think that that is certainly what's happened is that the bowlers have been looking for the batsmen to make mistakes rather than to getting them out themselves. And I think that the problem is when the batsmen don't make those mistakes, you really get punished. And that's what happened today. You look at Suryakumar Yadav, who 65 of 31 balls without taking any risks at all, really. And I think that is the problem. It's been a problem for quite a while for the West Indies, and it is showing up quite a bit now as well. And I think that as far as who I think should be in the side, I know they tried out some few players in this game, but for me, Sheldon Cottrell, you wouldn't say he's the greatest at the death, but I think that he certainly swings the ball up front, and now he's been slightly better at the death of late. Odean Smith certainly should be in this side, and I think with Ozari Joseph, yes, he'd be one of the top pacers in the country, but the problem, I know it's a lot of islands, but I'm saying that one of the top pacers that they have available. But the thing is, him in T20s is not the same as him in the longer formats, and I think that is also one thing that they do have a bit of a concern in. And he will also be one of those players who offers more with the bat than he does with the ball in most games. So despite the fact that he's probably on the better side of seamers that they have available, I don't think he's the same T20 bowler as he is in Tests, for example, and I think Tests is his best format. And I think that, so you have Sheldon Cottrell and you have Odean Smith, and you look at the players that I'm saying, you'd be able to consider those two as part of a 3-seamer attack. Well, frontline bowlers are relatively frontline bowlers compared to the other two. And I think that if you look at those bowlers, especially Sheldon Cottrell, there won't be the case of where he's kind of trying to force a mistake from the batsman. I really think that it'll be more direct, swinging the ball, and that's the reason why I think that he has to be there in the T20I side. And I think him and Odean Smith, and also you could, since Ozari Joseph, I'm not so sure if you could put him in the T20 side as of now. I personally haven't been a huge advocate of his, and I'm sure my brother would be quite happy that I'm bringing up his name, but he hasn't played for the West Indies in quite a while. Kesrick Williams, I mean, look, in the side, there's no one that you really have to bowl to death. And you could say, as far as the best player to really bowl the death for the West Indies at this point in time who plays international cricket is Kesrick Williams. I mean, I wouldn't, if they pick Russell, I'm not sure if they're going to pick Russell. And so I personally think that Kesrick Williams right now is probably the best option if you look at the options available. So they haven't picked him for quite a while, so I'm not sure if they're going to pick him again, but they certainly need an outright death bowler. So that would probably be my 3-seamers. And I think in the spin department, they are okay. You have Hayden Walsh, or you have Roston Chase as well, who I know they're playing for their batting, but he's certainly proven that he's good. He do quite a good job with the ball. Fabian Allen, I wouldn't say as much, should be as you wouldn't consider him as front line of a bowler as the other ones. And certainly not as a 5th bowler in my view. And you've got Akil Hussain as well. So I think if they do play Akil Hussain, you could say, for example, if I say the 11 for the West Indies, you could say Kyle Mayers, who I think he needs to improve playing wrist spin, but apart from that, his game seems to be in, as a decent kind of, he isn't outright weak to other forms of bowling apart from wrist spin, I would say, as for what I've seen of him. Kyle Mayers, and then when Evan Lewis comes back from kind of his COVID-19 thing, I think he'll certainly be in the side. Then you have Nicholas Poore on 3, Rovman Powell has to bat at 4, Holder 5, Pollard 6, a brilliant middle order. Then you've got Odean Smith 7, Akil Hussein 8. Then you've got so Odean Smith 7, Akil Hussein 8, and then you have got who is it? Kesrick Williams 9. Then you've got Sheldon Cottrell 10, and you could either play. You could probably play Hayden Moss Jr. 11. Now I know Roston Chase then doesn't get into the side, and maybe you could play Roston Chase. I'm not sure if you just want to play him for his bowling, but I do. Considering you are playing him for his batting, I do think that probably. Who am I saying? I think Hayden Moss Jr. would be more the frontline bowler, and I think that so overall that does look like quite a decent attack. Where you got your 3 genuine seamers and Jason Holder as your 4th seamer, and you've got 2 spinners who can bowl 4 overs, and I think that that would look much better than I think that they've been playing. If you look at Romario Shepherd and Dominic Drakes, what do they offer with the ball and bat? They're not gonna win you a game in any of those facets, and especially Romario Shepherd in the series has not been great at all, and I don't take the 29 runs that he scored as anything really, because as I said, it's almost like the all-rounders who you don't want them to expose a certain facet or contribute or try to contribute in a certain facet of their bowling. I know it sounds harsh, but if you give 50 runs and then score 20 runs, you've made the job harder for your team. And the runs that you score, by then, you're probably not going to help the team win the game. So that's why I think it's just kind of a lose-lose. And I just think that certainly they'll probably have to prioritize playing more genuine bowlers. As far as the batting is concerned, there's Nicholas Pooran and Rovman Powell, number 3 and number 4. Apart from that, there's hardly basically been any contribution, really. I think that obviously Evan Lewis, I think, will come back into the team in place of Shea Hope on the T20 side. Karen Pollard and Jason Holder, I really think, yes, it's an outstanding middle order, but I think that the team would, again, I'm not really being too critical of them, but I do think the team would kind of, if they had really stuck around in this game, then the things would have probably been different for the West Indies. And as far as Karen Pollard, now this whole wide delivery kind of, not weakness, but the fact that he's not able to time those deliveries well, and I think it's because, look, I'm not too technically knowledgeable, but the closed bat face that you can see when he's batting, and I do think that he's been a player who has his limits. I think everyone has kind of their weak points, but I really think that if you look at Karen Pollard, he hasn't really faced overly quick bowling as of kind of in the last few months, but generally, but I think that there is a notion that he's weak to really quick bowling, short pitch bowling. Struggles against wrist spin, and also if you bowl wide because of the closed bat face, he's not able to get timing on it. Now, I think that with all those limits, he's still a T20 legend. I do understand that, but I really think that I don't think it's a weakness, but I think that because of the closed bat face, he's not really able to get the timing that he wants. And I've seen him play some shots over the offside with the bat he has and the kind of the muscle that he has. Even one-handed shots will go for 6 over the offside. So I don't think it's a weakness, but I do think that closed bat face thing really adds to a few limitations. And I do think that he's probably going to have to get better at playing wrist spin, because I think that now it seems like he's playing a bit of a waiting game in terms of he really looking for the right bowler to target, which, look, people do look for bowlers to target, but I do think that right now, I think that if you look at all these things combined, yes, Karen Pollard does get the contributions, yes, but I do think that in order to be that bit more effective, he'd probably be if he just sorts out these things, or even sort them out to a better degree. I really think that it will help any side that he plays for. He's already done so well, despite the fact that you could say he's had all these things throughout his career. But I do think that he'll certainly be able to elevate his game if he fixes these things even a slight degree. And I think that the problem with the West Indies with the bat, that's obviously the Karen Pollard 6, you could say, or Jason Holder at 6, depends. And I think the problem with the West Indies with the bat is that apart from Rovman Powell and Nicholas Pooran, you haven't really got consistent contributions from everyone else. And with Evan Lewis back at the top of the order, I think the white ball, the ODI and the T20 team will certainly be in good hands. I think it'll be probably be able to get more contributions out of him. of certainly the ODI team, for example, with Shea Hope and Evan Lewis opening the batting, I think things will be decently well observed. And yeah, I think that the problem with this West Indies team, as I said, is just the fact that they need to prioritize a more solid the foundations of kind of three outright genuine pacers, and the two frontline spinners. They haven't done that, so they've played these all-rounders, and the problem is the bowlers just give runs and then just hit a few boundaries, it doesn't help the team much, because in the end they've made life difficult for the batsmen. A batting lineup where only two people are contributing consistently, and then what's happening is that the runs that the lower order get, it's just a free-for-all of hitting boundaries. It's not like we haven't seen a case where the lower order have actually helped in. I know that was that case against England where they lost by 1 run, but apart from that, it's in this tour you haven't really seen the lower order kind of have the case where they've been in pole position to win the game because of their contribution. It hasn't been that way. So I think getting those frontline bowlers in will reduce the total that they have to chase, and better batting will kind of enable the West Indies to come closer to winning the games, which they really should have won in the end, these last 2 games. And yeah, I think that's on this team. They certainly have the tools, but I think that just the way that things have been going in the last few years, it's been a trend I've seen for quite a while. Not focusing on bowling well, focusing on the batsmen getting themselves out. When you're bowling to kind of the lineups that India have, do you really think the batsmen are going to get themselves out? What's the likelihood that they're going to do that when you play really kind of elite teams? It's probably not going to happen. So that's what I'm trying to say, that they have to really rethink this thing. They really have to pay more kind of they have to really go more by the template of kind of the 3 seamers and 2 spinners way, and really get a solid bowling attack together so that they don't really end up leaking all these runs at the death. And there has to be a clear structure to their bowling innings. You look at India, power play, Deepak Chahar, and then Bhuvneshwar Kumar, then you got Jasprit Bumrah. Let's pretend if it is like that, which I do hope it's like that. Or even if Bumrah bowls with a new ball, then you've got a 3rd seamer, then you've got the spinners in the middle, then you've got Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Bumrah to bowl at the end. For the West Indies, it just seems to be like a look. Romario Shepherd, he doesn't really, yes, he swung the ball a bit, but even then it wasn't really the batsman didn't really have too much of, I think, playing him. What does he offer with the new ball and the old ball? Not much. I just think that they seem to be, with these pacers that are not necessarily frontline pacers, they're just trying to just get some overs through and just get a contribution out of them. But they just don't have that cutting edge to really seem to cause any kind of trouble to the opposition team. So I really think they have to, as I've said for the umpteenth time now, I think that the attack that I said of Sheldon Cottrell, Odean Smith, and either Kedrick, I think right now Kedrick Williams just to bowl at the death. I mean, if you're not going to play Russell, you're going to have to play him. So I think that, yeah, that's probably the way that they should go, with Jason Horder being the 4th teamer. So yeah, that's on there. And so yeah, I really think that I really like India West Indies series. I think that seeing the talent that the West Indies have especially in the white ball formats, I think that they really light up the series. But yeah, unfortunately, I think there are these points that they need to improve on, and yeah, I hope that they do. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and please share this video with your friends. And remember, this is my opinion. What's yours?